And this is a form that you can fill out and work with your champion to fill out to make sure that you really can succinctly distill the big high level problem and why it's a problem and what the outcome is that they want from an executive. And I will always say this, get in front of the decision maker. That's the best thing. Don't rely on someone else to sell for you. But in cases where they have to socialize and you're not in the room, keep it simple, help them focus on the big picture. And this executive memo is how you do it. What's up, everyone? It's Ian Koniak. In today's training, I'm going to share how you can empower a champion to sell internally when you are not in the room. And the challenge that many people face is, as much as I preach, you need to get to power, you need to be working directly with the decision makers, which you do. Once in a while, there are cases where you have executives that have to sell to a lot of other executives, like their CFO or their CEO, or maybe even a board. And a lot of times, there's multiple decision makers and you can't meet with all of them. And so if you're doing bottom-up selling, or even if you're selling to an executive that has to sell to other people, you need to empower them with assets that they can use to share the success that they want to experience if they switch to your product or service. And some of those assets include things like a business case. A lot of times I'll build a proposal and I'll put it on their deck template. Instead of using my deck template, I'll put it on theirs so it looks like it's their specific presentation. But one of the things that happens even before you get to the late stage is you need to help them articulate the value of what you're actually positioning to them and get executives on board to even sponsor it or even maybe look at the proposal and get involved. So if you're early in the sales stage and you don't have an executive sponsor yet, something that you can do to gain executive sponsorship and help your champion socialize this to higher ups within the organization is what's called a champion selling aid. And I created this and it's super valuable. And I'll walk you through how it works in a second. The first thing I do want to say is, like, if you haven't done this already, make sure you purchase the book, The Challenger Customer. This is really talking about how to sell to the hidden influencer who can sell when you're not in the room. There's a whole book on this one topic. It's so important for enterprise selling, for large deal selling. And, I read it a while ago. I followed it and it helped me tremendously with selling bigger deals. So let's talk about the problem that happens most of the time when people try and sell up. The challenge is they don't know how to speak executive language. Executives, when they talk, it's very high level. They're thinking about the big picture. They're thinking about the desired outcomes that they want, their KPIs that they want. They're thinking about their goals and priorities for this year. And they're thinking about high level challenges that keep them up at night. And when your lower levels try to sell to them, a lot of times they're in the weeds. They're talking about the product or the solution versus why do we need this in the first place? What's the problem that we have right now, and what's the impact of the problem? And so these proposals often get shot down from lower levels because they don't know how to speak to those things. They don't have to speak to the executive priorities, executive goals, challenges. And of course, it doesn't, end up getting approved because they're not good salespeople. Most people aren't. That's why you're in your job in the first place. So the way that we kind of get around this, and the way I have, is using this. It's called a beach ball preparation form, and I got this from one of our coaches, Mike Fiasconi, and he had been using it with a lot of success, and I just love it. And this is a form that you can fill out and work with your champion to fill out to make sure that you really can succinctly distill the big high level problem and why it's a problem and what the outcome is that they want from an executive, and what background and research you've done up to this point and what the ask is. So this is really a great way to simplify the conversation, because maybe your champion only gets a few minutes with their CFO or CEO and he's got to really make it quick. So the core issue is blank. That's the first column. The core issue is blank, right? Be concise, one or two sentences. What's the issue? Now, the second part is bigger, more important thing is why is it significant, right? How is this problem impacting profitability, impacting client retention, impacting revenue growth? What is a problem is not a problem unless it has a significant impact. So what? Who cares? we're not productive. Well, if we're not productive and it actually is hurting profitability, now there's a problem. If we're not productive and now we can't get our product launched on time, it's a problem. If we're not productive or we're losing market share, it's a problem, right? So why is it significant? That's the second part. What's the outcome? Right? What results are you looking for, or your client? What's the background information, right? The who, what, when, what, why? What's the current state? What have I done up to this point? You know, if they've done a lot of research, if they've done a POV with you, if they've looked at a proposal, put it in there. Spent 3 months interviewing people. I've, done a business case, and I've landed on Salesforce as my recommended solution. Options I'm considering. We could hire 10 people, or we can implement this solution from Salesforce, right? Or we can do nothing. And then, there's a big cost of inaction. And here's what I need from the group. What's the ask, right? Maybe it's approval for the budget. Maybe it's a request to meet with, you. So this is something we were kind of filling out and we were prepping with the champion. And what I've done is I've actually taken AI and I went to ChatGPT 4.0, and actually now it's 5.0. It just came out yesterday, 5.0. And I said, here's the beach ball that we're using. Here's the preparation form. Can you turn it into a prompt that people can use to prepare an executive memo rather than just filling out this form, and I said, the prompt needs to help the champion summarize the key reasons they want to do the deal, highlight the benefits and outcomes, the problems it will solve, and draw upon the previous prompts I had been building with my AI library of 17-page prompts that I'm sure you guys have already seen. But if you haven't, make sure to watch the training. You'll get the 17 pages. This is one of the prompts that I went over in my AI masterclass. That's completely free if you want to check it out. At the end, I'll leave a link. But this one is really the prompt. It's I'm working a deal. The champion needs to get support from their stakeholders based on the following inputs from the beach ball forum. Create a clear executive level memo that the champion can share internally to advocate for moving forward. All right, it should be in the first person. This is all the fields from the beach ball forum. The tone should be executive friendly. That's really important and outcome focused. And then you can copy and paste the fields into it directly. Okay. And one of the bonus things that I recommend is actually walking through it with your champion, making sure they give you the inputs, why it's significant, polishing it before they present it. But here's the outcome you're going to get. So you can see this is from Sarah Jennings, right? It's to their senior leadership team, and it's an internal business case. Usually people socialize this for email, maybe in a meeting, but it's recommendation to move forward with Salesforce. The issue: our client engagement process is fragmented. Advisors are using multiple tools for communication, onboarding, case management, and reporting. This leads to inefficiencies, inconsistent experience, frustrated clients, particularly the onboarding phase. Why it's significant: we're falling behind competitors. If we don't modernize how we engage clients, we risk churn among our high net worth accounts and struggle to scale service without increasing headcount. My ideal outcome: I want one platform that allows us to centralize interactions, automate onboarding, proactively identify and resolve service issues, and give leadership real-time visibility into client CSAT and team performance. Here's the background. We had 14 stakeholder interviews across these different groups. We evaluated 3 platforms and we conducted a pilot with Salesforce. What we've done so far is we've discussed the success metrics, outlined a phased rollout, secured IT approval, got security approval, and partnered with a no-cost assessment of automation opportunities. That's the business case. And options considering: we could do nothing. That would require hiring 3 to 4 new people. We could invest in a bunch of point solutions, or we could adopt Salesforce, which is giving us one single point of contact, one single source of truth. This is what is aligned the best. My recommendation: I strongly recommend moving forward with Salesforce. I'd like to secure leadership to move into final scoping, lock in pricing. A quick exec alignment call with their SVP, who's been our sponsor, is also available. Thank you for your support, right? So this is the executive memo. It can be sent in a document. It can be sent via email, but it's super valuable. Again, this is the use case 3, right? Getting higher up within your current customers. This is the prompt. Okay, I'll put this in the notes for you guys. And again, if you want to watch the full training and get 17 pages of prompts with all of the different use cases, all 4 of them, check out the link below and I'll give it to you. and it's completely free. Hope this helps. It's so important to empower your champion to sell. And I will always say this: get in front of the decision maker. That's the best thing. Don't rely on someone else to sell for you. But in cases where they have to socialize and you're not in the room, keep it simple. Help them focus on the big picture. And this executive memo is how you do it. I'm Ian Koniak. I'll see you guys later. Take care. Bye.